Where do I even start with the mishaps of this project?
This was supposed to be just an afternoon project to reorganize our silverware in our house. I've never really been happy with commercially available silverware organizers. And again, you can see they don't really fit properly as things collect on the side. Well, I decided to change that, and here it is.
It ended up working, and man, it turned out great, but let me take you on this journey. It was a pretty fun one.
So my first challenge was actually modeling a shape to hold all of the knives, forks, and spoons, because we got kind of a mixture of everything. I decided to go with this shape because, well, I simply just upgraded everything, and here's what I did.
So if you're like me, your silverware collection is just kind of a mess, right? You have a set from Walmart, a set from Target, a set from wherever. Maybe you got some as a gift, and they're all just in there, and it's just a pain, doesn't even look good. Anyway, I thought, you know what, let's get some continuity in this, so I hit my local restaurant supply store here. The one here in Jacksonville I went to is called the Chef's Warehouse. Apparently they've been around since like early 1900s. Second oldest business here in town. So I'm going to link them down below. Not sponsored by them, but they were really helpful with this stuff. And they have really awesome, just commercial grade storage, food storage solutions. Go check it out. But I figured I wanted some type of silverware that you would find at like a Carrabba's or a Maggiano's or some other random Italian restaurant I can't think of. Anyway, something nice, and that's what we got. So you're going to see this process kind of take fold again with these larger amounts of silverware. I think I got a dozen knives, 2 dozen dinner forks, 2 dozen salad forks, and 3 dozen teaspoons. So let's get to it.
So with these shapes cut out, I've stacked up roughly about 9 or 10 sheets, of course with a bottom piece. You don't want to have that silverware falling through. And then the best way I thought to align all this was to go ahead and clamp them up dry in these parallel clamps. And then I've got a couple little pieces of plywood I'm going to cut down that are going to be for the edges as well. You can see here that this goes together pretty neatly. Of course, there is no glue in here, but I am going to come back with some brad nails that are about 2 inches long, and hopefully they make it all the way through. If my measurements are correct, they are going to, and they did. Honestly, this worked out way better than I thought. This piece ended up feeling super solid, and the brad nails were exactly perfect. So the very final layer was going to be on the top, and I was just going to glue that down with some tight bond here. Going to give it some weight and let it sit there for about 15 or 20 minutes, and we're good to go. So needless to say, the brad nails have been covered up. The fit and finish is pretty nice on this. I'm really happy. Now, the part for the paring knives, well, that was a little interesting. Check it out.
Taking inspiration from a vertical solution on paring knife storage we used to have at work back in the day, I turned it horizontally, but then, do you believe in coincidences? Yes, they actually exist. I started making this thing and struggled my way through it, and I could have just looked at these. And I didn't, but I didn't realize they were so expensive. So I'm glad I did this on my own. I just never was really satisfied with silverware storage. I think a lot of us aren't. And having the capability with these lasers, hey, it's time to go ahead and make something that's really going to fit our needs. So I hope you enjoy this.
So, in efforts to save a little bit of money and also try this on my own, we're going to make some paring knife storage. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because this didn't work. This system with these little wedges and these slots, and of course a board game that my daughter came up with that we decided to print or cut on this sheet as well, you know, trying to utilize the material as best we can. We're going to knock out all these pieces, and I'm going to show you how this goes together. So essentially, you're going to layer these slotted pieces up sequentially from largest to smallest, and then you're going to put these wedges into these slots, and everything is going to be hunky-dory, right? Pretty easy. Now, the fit was a little bit too tight, but we were able to hammer it in, and I realized that, how did I even make this mistake? You know, I usually get prototyping now on the first try because I've done this so much, but this one just was an abysmal failure. Look at that. So back to the drawing board, and we've got a whole bunch of scrap pieces now that I don't know what to do with. But at least my daughter's got to hand me the game. Pretty fun. So here's version 2.0. I've got a little bit better fit with the ramp that's going to hold it at the angle, and we're going to start assembling this. And I start to realize, you know, maybe I don't need to be using a bunch of CA glue on something that's going to hold my, I don't know, my silverware. But I figured once it's cured, it's neither here nor there. We're just kind of tacking it in place here. But I'm really perplexed at how I did this. Check this out. Yeah, the ramp is backwards. It's facing the wrong way. And it bounces well because in frustration, sometimes you can see if your work pieces will bounce off the workbench. And they do. It works pretty well. But I decided to go ahead and just keep building, right? I took those ramp pieces and I cut the tabs off and I angled them the other way. But this is really my first well, my first attempt at putting these knives in here, and that was pretty cool. Anyway, I'm just going to tell you this. This project, I wasted a bunch of wood, but still, I was able to get the entire drawer modeled and made with all this storage for different utensils for under 40 bucks because I used less than a full sheet of plywood with this. So you can see here, these ramps will just kind of be tacked in place, and then each sequential paring knife storage block is going to just rest on the other one. And I thought, this is pretty cool.
You know, I've made so many mistakes at this point. I'm actually trying something completely different. I really should listen to this sticker right here. Yeah. Get it together, dude.
So all in all, I really wasn't happy with that, so I decided to try something completely different, a glueless option.
Okay, so after so many things that have kicked my butt this project, I think this is gonna work here. We've got fewer spots, that we have more room to actually put bigger knives in there. You know, for a simple project, this really has kind of whooped me.
So in those previous clips, you saw me making a paring knife block that was holding 6 across. Now we've only got 4 slots across. The idea was, it was taking up too much room. I didn't have enough room on the left-hand side or anywhere in there to hold my chef's knives, and I got quite a few of those. So we're going to try this option with only 4 paring knives across, and instead of doing 3 knives deep, we're going to do 4 deep, and we're going to try this out. Now here's the glueless solution.
Okay, so what you're about to see is kind of like a 1-minute clip here of some unedited footage of a pretty cool family moment. I mean, after all, this channel was predicated on family moments, and they haven't been in the videos as much. So here's one now, and it's pretty cool.
So this is actually my first attempt at putting this together with the glueless option. These little square pegs are going to go with these holes and hopefully hold it all together.
If you don't have a jeweler's hammer, I suggest you try to find one of these somewhere. I don't even have an Amazon link for this. Got it at a thrift store. Anyway.
And of course, I get the visitor.
Well, hey. What'd you say?
Are you gonna make courage?
What?
Are you gonna make courage out of wood?
Yes. Let's go.
Stop videoing me!
Yeah, she wants me to stop, but watch this. She eventually wants to be in it. And now, I'm actually going to try to hammer these things in.
These flowers are for courage.
And I'm actually off camera looking at her, telling her to like, hey, shh, hold on. I'll be right with you. I'm kind of mouthing that to her.
Daddy.
She's tripped.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Daddy.
One second. Yes, love. Are you messing with my video?
No, but these flowers are for courage.
Are they?
Courage is a purple cartoon dog, by the way.
Oh, that feels good.
And then she says,
See ya.
and for whatever reason, it reminded me of the Dude Perfect send-off.
Pound it, noggin.
And then she says, I love these moments. I don't get them as often now because they're in school when I'm working.
goodness.
But anyway, back to this. This wedge and peg thing that I'm doing here, hammering these things in, is working actually really well. And I think this is going to be a better option.
You know, this is what happens. You probably could see it on the camera, but I can't. Gotta go back.
And I'm missing a peg somewhere, so back to the laser.
That's why you cut extra. No way. Yes! Ha! It worked!
Well, I'm going to date myself here. I'm a Gen Xer using this type of terminology.
Oh, snap. No glue. Oh. Oh. That is a victory. No glue. No nothing. I'm serious. I'm so excited because it's really... Oh, I got an ass whooping.
Okay, with hopefully all the butt kicking out of the way, I'm able to put these 4 pieces together using some blue tape because I've got to go inside and test the fit. And it worked really well. And again, this is one of those things that took only a few minutes in the video, but it took me hours to get to this point. And I'm super excited because check this out. I just geek over this kind of storage. It's so much fun. And again, I'm only going to be barely tacking these in place with CA glue. I know I said that, hey, I'm kind of reluctant to use CA glue on pieces that are going to be, you know, utensils, but hey, this is kind of a necessary evil. Although, I thought to myself after this, you know, you just did this wedge peg thing that worked really well. Why not do the whole thing throughout? And that may be something I do in the future. And I've got questions about that coming up for you. But for now, this looks pretty sweet.
I also want to pose a question to you guys. If you've been around for a while, you know I offer stuff on the CNC for garage and shop organization, that kind of thing. But I've never made something for in the home like this. I'm trying to actually see if this is something worth making. It's not available from me or from my site yet, but of course I'll get into more details if I get a good response here. So if you like this and you think I should standardize this kind of thing, let me know. I'll put some work into it and make some kits that can go together with no glue. And we'll just move forward from there. But for everything A Glimpse Inside, check us out down below on our website at glimpseinside.org. And I do want to know your feedback. I am apprehensive to telling you this because if, Henry Ford said, if I asked the people what they wanted, they would have just said, I want faster horses. And that's not the case. So I'm just wondering, is this something I should probably make commercially available? Let me know your thoughts.
Faster horses. Anyway, moving on to chef's knife storage. Now, I have a ton of these because it seems like every time I make a trip to IKEA, I think to myself, we could use a few more chef's knives. And they got some pretty slick ones. You'll see those here in a second. But basically, this is really simple. I'm going to take some slots, cut them out on the laser. They're kind of staggered a little bit for handle placement. And once I've got these paring knives and silverware organized, I'm testing my hand at these chef's knives. And oh boy, it looks like they're going to work. I'm really excited about this. This one was a pretty easy solution, and this is kind of how it's going to go together. But I don't like the unsightly, the kind of edge of the burnt, kind of charred wood that the laser leaves behind. I do like that in certain regards, but for silverware and bringing it in the home, I think I'm going to trim this off at the table saw. Pretty satisfying cut. Love to see this cleaned up edge. And then on the crosscut sled, we're going to trim the top and bottom as well. And now you might think, well, isn't this going to mess up your measurements by trimming off a little bit of each side? And you would be right in thinking that. And I have to come up with a solution you're going to see a little bit later. And now we're going to trim off this piece here. And honestly, my gut tells me don't do it. So I didn't. So I went over to the random orbital sander mount that I have, replaced the sandpaper, and we're going to sand the edge flush, not cut it, because I just didn't feel comfortable putting this kind of angled piece up against the table saw blade that way. It probably would have been fine, but just trust your gut in these situations is my advice to anyone. So everything's been trimmed up, and a little hand sanding I believe is necessary before we go in and install this. And this is going to be installed in those three pieces kind of right next to each other. I'm not going to attach these together. But I am going to put some spray lacquer, just a matte clear coat on these and let these cure for 24 hours. Basically, I throw a coat on, let it sit for about an hour. I do some light sanding, and then I throw another coat on, and then I let that sit for 24 hours, and then we're good to go. But I think protecting it just a little bit is probably the best idea. All these years I've sold this product called Box of 90s. I've never used them like this. They work really well as painter's triangles as well. And also, there's something pretty satisfying about seeing all this 1/4" material come together to look like a nice big butcher block.
And here's the final install, and don't forget to stay tuned after this for some outtakes.
Alright, so out with the old and in with the new. Like I said before, well, first we gotta do some dusting. I mean, how in the world does dust get in here like this? Even when it's covered with... Never mind. Anyway, I made some reinforcements on the front of the paring knife block storage. And again, I'm not going to attach these together in any particular way. One, it's easier to install them when they're loose. And two, you may want to reorient how this is set up. You may want your silverware on the left and all your knives on the right or whatever. But this is my initial, setup, if you will. And remember that issue I was telling you about where there's a little bit of a gap because I trimmed it off? Well, here's the solution. Remember my daughter talking about Courage the dog? Well,
Hi, I'm in the video.
there you go. Just a quick and dirty piece of, well, it's not dirty, just a quick piece of 1/4" material to be on the side that's easily removed if I need to. And now for the final install. This, dude, seriously, I've always wanted a system like this, and I'm just ecstatic that this works out the way it did. What do you guys think? Is this cool or what? Am I geeking out over this over nothing? I don't think so. And one more aspect about this is that none of the knives are exposed anymore. None of the blades are exposed. Now, for those of you saying you shouldn't be keeping your knife blade down on something, dude, I got a whetstone over by the sink. I sharpen these quite a bit. It doesn't take but a second to run it at a 15-degree angle. You know what I'm talking about. All good. But what do you think? I personally love how it turned out. One thing I didn't expect was all the added weight inside this drawer. It definitely has more heft to it, but it's nothing the drawer slide can't handle. It seems like it's no problem. I'll give you an update on that later, but for now, this is definitely an improvement that makes me think, what else in my kitchen do I want to improve?
Drawer. So that's where we're going to go with that. And what? That is so cute. That is so cute. Look at this. Let me show the people. Look at this.
Look at me.
A laser. You want to come up here?
Yeah.
All right, come on.
Wait, I need to grab Courage.
You will. Oh, goodness. Okay. So this is cute. This is a laser cut dog named.
Courage.
Right, named Courage. And there's a sock turned into a headband. Almost looks like something from the 80s. Family heirloom for these little kids for a long time to come, and I'm really happy how it turned out. Guys, if you want to watch more videos from us, there's going to be...
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you later.
That was awesome.